Minnesota Vikings have an interesting decision this offseason with a star running back Dalvin Cook. Do they pay him his $10.4 million base salary? Do they cut him? Do they try and get what they can in trade for the soon-to-be 28-year-old running back? And then what happens going forward? So it is Kincaid and Nwangu, is Ty Chandler ready to rock and roll, or do the Vikings look to add a running back potentially in the draft? Now, I understand that, Kwesi being from an analytics background, generally, well, you don't pay running backs, even though he was on staff as assistant to the regional general manager with the Browns when they extended Nick Chubb. But also, spending draft capital high on a running back, especially when you're pretty bereft of draft capital as it is that something that he wants to do? And also the whole, hey, you never spend a first-round pick on a running back. Just spend a day 3 selection, take Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th round and then run him into the ground. Don't give him a second contract, blah, 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 like that whole thing. But this is a long way of getting to Bijan Robinson. Now, Bijan Robinson is different. Now, I'm not saying that you do this for every single running back. Like, I don't foresee an NFL coming up again where there's 4, 5, 6 running backs taken in the first round. No, but you take difference makers in the first round, and Bijan Robinson is absolutely a difference maker. Also, let's remember the Vikings draft at 23, so it's not like they're spending the number 4 overall pick on Saquon Barkley like the Giants did. And now the Giants have a decision whether to pay Saquon or not, but whatever. Either way, let's talk about Bijan Robinson today. Background, 21 years young, 6 foot 220, former 5-star recruit from Tucson, Arizona. Took his talents to Austin. Hook him. Yeah, that's right. Now, I'm not saying this as a quasi-Texas fan, but, me McConaughey. All right. In 2022, he ran for 1,580 yards rushing, 6 yards per carry, 18 touchdowns. Also reeled in 314 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Doak Walker Award winner, unanimous All-American, was just an absolute rock star and is the best running back in this class by far. And there is a very large gap. And the whole scouting report, he's an absolute alpha athlete. He's got elite agility and vision. Very patient runner, sets up blocks, is very mature in that regard. 104 forced missed tackles, which is dynamic and amazing. And he is literally a threat to score every single time that he touches the ball. And that's not hyperbole. I mean, go back, look at some of the Texas tape over the last couple of years where every single time he gets the rock, don't want to say it's like Barry Sanders-esque, but, I mean, the amount of missed tackles that he forces and the way he's able to make something out of nothing, it's just amazing. He's a solid pass blocker. He's underutilized as a receiver. So he's going to match up well in the modern NFL. He isn't going to be like Adrian Peterson, the 2-down tyrant, whatever. So he is going to sync up well, potentially with what Kevin O'Connell wants to do on offense, or what a lot of offenses around the league want to do. And, I mean, my comp, again, my untrained scouting eye, I see a lot of Eric Dickerson, a little bit of an upright runner. He is 6'2", he is 220 pounds. There is some questions about his between the tackle power, but just once he gets a crease, once he gets out in space, once he makes a guy miss, once he gets that second level, I mean, it could be over. And that was Eric Dickerson back in the day. And also, it's funny, especially since Eric Dickerson went to SMU because he hated Texas, because the recruiting process really turned him off of the Longhorns. Whatever. And the Vikings' current running back room, so Dalvin Cook under contract, he's probably going to get cut. I mean, just it is what it is. And, Kwesi, $10.4 million for a soon-to-be 28-year-old running back who's coming off a shoulder surgery, who just completed his first full regular season. I don't know. Madison's going to be a free agent. Do you potentially bring him back in conjunction with Bijan, as well as with Kincaid and Ty Chandler? Ty Chandler, by the way, who's drafted 2 rounds ahead of Isaiah Pacheco. Who really knows? And like we said, the Vikings at 23, even though I need to fix this graphic. So, stupid Dolphins getting their pick forfeited, just throwing off the numbers, so the Vikings pick 23. Whatever. Now, it is legitimately plausible that Bijan Robinson, even though Robinson is seen on a lot of people's big boards as, a top 5, top 10 player, but in their mock drafts, he's projected down. Some back end of the first round, some people even have him outside the first round, which is kind of ridiculous. But, I mean, the whole don't draft a running back early, don't pay a running back, I mean, to a degree, it does get redonkulous, and it's a little bit, jumping the shark. But he legitimately could get through the teens, and the Vikings may have a decision at 23. Now, would he potentially get by? Oh, God. Would he get by the Lions at 18? That'd be rough. 19 if the Bucks want to move on from playoff Lenny. Chargers, no. I mean, the Ravens are always looking for running backs, maybe. So there's going to be a decision that has to be made. And frankly, I would be okay with it. I would be okay if the Vikings at 23, again, don't spend a first-round pick on a running back. It's 23. It's not 4. Right, and the Vikings, if they're able to suture a couple things up in free agency along the offensive line and on defense, especially in the trenches, and this is more of an opportunistic look and versus drafting for need. It's like when the Vikings took Randy Moss in '98 when they had Chris Carter and Jake Reed on the roster. Jake Reed was a 1,000-yard receiver the year before, so I'm not saying that they should actively seek him out. Like, I'm not saying that the Vikings should trade up for him, although that would be the ultimate analytics nerd heel turn. If Kwesi traded up for a running back, it would be funny. But it's a potential decision that the Vikings may have to make. And Robinson, if the Vikings do part ways with Dalvin, and if they do some nice things in free agency, both along the offensive line and draft, and they're in a spot where they can go true BPA, Robinson could be that BPA. And just think of an offense that has Kirk Cousins dealing, handing off to Bijan Robinson, throwing the ball to Robinson, as well as JJ and TJ and KJ, and picking up another wide receiver TBD. Kind of amazing. Kind of amazing. And again, it comes back to don't draft a running back in the first round. But if he's there at 23, it's going to get really interesting in that war room. It's really going to get interesting, man. But your thoughts are thoughts. Should the Vikings consider Bijan Robinson at 23? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Won't support the work. Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.